Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from around the world. We now have over 200 attendees, half from Australia and New Zealand who are joining us in the morning, many more from the USA and Canada who are joining us in the afternoon or evening, and then a sprinkling of people from across the globe, including the UK, Europe, South Africa, India, just to name a few. We appreciate that in some countries it is quite early, so thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that everyone finds this conference of tremendous value. Could you please describe the strategic architecture approach and how it can be the key to digital transformation?
If you look at the three boxes in a bit more detail, the digital strategy, the enterprise architecture and program delivery, essentially we're trying to keep those in sync. The sponsor might have 400 people under them. They're not going to know all the detail, but they need to know that that can be summarized for them, and that's what strategic architecture can do.
In your consultancy work, do you have an example you can share on how you use the strategic architecture approach?
Make sure that that strategic architecture approach is across all programs in what we do. And it's not like we're doing rocket science, we're just trying to get things in sync and making sure that programs are effective.
All the way from Canada. Welcome, George.
It's my pleasure. It's my honor. So let's start with the digitization and digitalization and make sure that we are on the same page here when we're talking about these terms.
What do you perceive as the primary barriers or challenges in implementing metadata tools within your organization or projects?
So first, I think it's that lack of understanding and awareness about their importance. There are resource constraints, as with anything. So this can come as a barrier, but in the end, you need to be the ones that are putting together the processes, the guidelines. Of course, that takes time.
My understanding of transformation here and the role of the architects, what you can do with this beautiful space. So transformation as such is a journey into the unknown. All of us in a transformation are navigating the space of the unknown, and the beauty is in embracing the aspects of unknown and the challenges and everything else that comes with it.
You talked about that pause, having the need to have that pause in digital transformation. Could you explain, the need, how that works and the need for the pause and what you do in that pause? Yeah.
One of the things that we recommend, it's a concept of the ancient wisdom. It's the conscious pause. So you take this conscious pause at strategic places or strategic stages to ensure that we are still on the right path. So the concept is very simple. So take a deep breath kind of thing. Take a pause at regular stages and validate 5 things. Who are we serving? Are we serving the right thing? And are we still continuing to work with the right people and work for the right people? And are we ensuring the outcome is achieving goals that are beyond us? So a simple check that we can all undertake. It's a concept that we can undertake, and I'll pass this on to you, Nige, which can be passed along.
Do you think it's achievable to get people to collaborate? And what are some of the best strategies to achieve this?
The short answer is yes. I definitely believe that we all are tuned to collaborate. As we look at our ancestors or people from the past, we lived in tribals, or we are basically tribals or people living in groups. So ultimately, it's the human desire to be connected with something that is beyond us. It is the purpose and vision that unites us.
Welcome, Andrew.
A pleasure to be here. What I want to do with this particular session is really just give you a very simple, practical model that you can take back to your organisation, today, tomorrow, next week, in terms of how you view the organisation.
I would like to know the opinion of Andrew on the alignment based on a fundamental issue we have in business architecture and where the approaches can assist with this.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. When I talked about the rowing 8, there are people in rowing, single sculls. Some might be in a team of 2 or a team of 4. Ideally, you create teams of 8. You're more likely to get critical mass of people coming together. Really appealing to them as to what would help them in their role, and then being able to use your reference models in anger. So the value streams and operating model is a really powerful representation because it breaks through all the organizational boundaries, job boundaries, roles, levels of detail. It's a strategic view of the business and how we think it's running.
When you look at the business motivation model, you have that strategy part that really needs to be aligned with the technology, and the business strategy needs to be aligned the whole way through. It seems like a very obvious thing, doesn't it? But it doesn't actually happen. What we need to do when we're writing the technology strategies is to make sure that there's a strategic alignment section at the front of it that does that alignment, to make sure that's front and center, then it's reflected as you go. Line of
You got the
sight.
business references in a technology strategy, and then it draws the business executives in. It's like, I can see how I'm being supported by the technology team. And if you look at all those different strategy documents that are being produced, you're looking for that technology. What are the impact on technology pieces that you can sort of directly impact on? And that's where the value proposition from architects.
How's it going over there, and what's your current work and your current challenges, and what you've been up to?
Thank you. It is really a pleasure and honor to be here, and applauding your efforts on this conference and bringing people together around such an important topic. So really an honor to really advocate for the idea of strategy to execution, business architecture as strategic practices. So for me, that involves all sorts of training and cohorts and masterminds, involves working with organizations and clients. I think what I get to see is this tide rising around the importance of good strategy to execution and the role of architecture as part of that. So it's really great trends to see. This takes a team of teams working together hand in hand from end to end to really make this work as we know. How are we leveraging AI? Okay, this great idea over here for future of work, how is it enabling, which capabilities to become our dot connector, our Rosetta Stone that we can actually see. You can actually create a capability on a page, right? And see all the initiatives that are planning to make changes against it. So that is honestly a really practical way to do it.
I think one of the things that I've found with the strategies is it needs to really come from the executive team. I've noticed that ones better have themes that are owned, and benefits and risks and everything that are owned by the executives. I don't know whether you've seen good examples of that or bad examples.
I believe that strategy to execution has got to be an internal muscle for every reason. With the strategy formulation, what I see, and this is not, any challenge to consultants, but a lot of times organizations, I see they're adopting the same things because we're kind of like pollinating the same ideas. So I think that strategy formulation muscle is important. I also think the architecture muscle is important internally as well, to be able to take that, here's the direction. It's a leap to say, all right, this is the parts of the organization that are changing, and here's what we need to do. So again, there's a great role for consultants in many ways, and capacity building, all those things that we know, but architecture as a muscle, and then that full end-to-end strategy to execution as well. So it's a great call out, Nigel. Yeah.
Diving into the exciting world of project management and digital transformation with the focus of finding the balance, specifically how to navigate technical demands of a fast-paced evolving environment while staying true to a people-first approach. How do you balance the technical demands of digital transformation with a people-centered approach in your projects and programs?
It's so critical when it comes to delivery that you have, a project manager and a project team who really get it. The way I like to describe it, I went a very long time of saying that a good PM is the bridge between the business and our technical teams to make sure that the project is delivered. But I think a better analogy is perhaps that of the seesaw, and this is where the balance comes in, Ariel, where if you think of there's the two sides of the coin and you never want either of those crashing, it's the PM who stands in the middle that sort of keeps the balance between the two. We make sure that people are involved in every single step of the way. And by people, we really mean the people that are impacted by change.
How does people-first approach influence the development and implementation of digital strategies in your projects?
The best way to describe this is that we don't work in silos and don't work in a vacuum, as the saying goes. The role of the PM, if we're involved at the front end of strategic design, to really be the voice of of people who are impacted by change, but you can't be the voice of those people unless you actually physically meet with them and physically go into their environment. What that enables us to do is to really represent a broad, range of stakeholders throughout the business, and we bring that into design, bring that into strategy, and kind of have that anchor of why are we doing this, what is the the benefits of the change that we're working towards, and make sure that is reiterated again and again and again throughout the process.
Welcome, Jeff.
G'day. Looking forward to showing you guys the elephant in the room. What do you think is the most frequently used, the most common data interchange process in the world? Well, the actual answer is a human. Michelle, with her mouse and her keyboard, cutting and pasting between things, external applications, websites, with her Outlook and her attachments and her Excel spreadsheets. She is, and still is, the #1 data interchange system in the world. So you need to come up with some ideas that will make sure that, at least to as much as possible, you're all agreeing on what things mean, and you're agreeing on where they come from and agreeing how to be used. And data governance, if you're not doing that, you're not achieving those outcomes.
You're not actually showing what the definition is you're talking about down at the bottom of the report. You're actually explaining it. It can become really, really difficult.
A really important thing to do, but certainly that journey, I've been with one fairly recent large telecommunication company. They're finding out just how difficult it is. They had a lot more than 300 apps, Andrew. They had more than a couple of thousand. So that just gives you some idea of the complexity of some of this work.
So welcome, Amardeep.
Thank you for having me.
So Amardeep,
Sure.
Are all transformation programs transformational?
I mean, the first question you really have to ask is, why do they want a transformation? So the main thing is that most organizations seek transformation only when they're hit by an event that fundamentally challenges who they are. Whether it's a government policy change, or it is a breach of data, for example, or you can even look at things like a regulatory failure. And these things lead to a deep soul searching, saying, where did things go wrong? And as they go and unpick the processes and the technologies that are there, they start noticing things are pretty disjointed. If you can't manage your codes inside your ERP, then how are you going to make sure you have consistency or anything else?
The AI really does have that role now, helping executives come to good strategies, good strategic outcome that we didn't really have, many years ago. Can you sort of give me a bit more information about that? I find that really interesting.
As a human beings, we are cognitively quite limited to how much information we can absorb. And that's our biggest thing. I mean, if you look at from memory point of view, processing anything, to actually think through things, we need time, we need space, we need to go back and breathe, then come back, etc. Now, what I'm just saying is this will only get better and better. You can look at AI in two ways. You can look at it as a transformative AI. That means it's strategically going to change the way you do business, with whom you do business, when you do business. Or it's everyday AI, you're going to improve your productivity.
That brings us to the end of our virtual conference. So everyone who's here joining us and has been with us throughout the entire conference, thank you so much for your time. We have absolutely loved putting on this event, and as Nige mentioned, we have big plans to continue this on a yearly basis. So please connect with all of us, whether that's LinkedIn, email. I can see that all of the contact details are there in the chat, so please reach out. We love this stuff, so get in contact and stay in contact, and we hope to see you all very soon.